Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, even though there's nothing behind me. Anyway, so I am so excited because I have been reading a lot of books. I'm finally out of a book reading slump, and I am so excited about that because I've been kind of in a slump, and granted, we were moving, and so when you're moving a million boxes of books, it is hard to get them out and read them. So I am finally getting to the spot where I am reading books again. My library is so close to being set up. I cannot wait. But for now, I've got a book review for you, and I cannot lie. I'm kind of excited to talk about this book, even though it was not very good. I'll explain. So what book am I talking about? I'm talking about book number 1 in the BloodHounds Inc. series, The Ghost of KRZY by Bill Myers. And yes, KRZY is a radio station that the call letters, if you sound it out, is crazy. So, it's fun times. This is a 90s book series, and it is actually a Christian book series that is kind of another one of those Goosebumps ripoff series. Now, Bill Myers is very interesting because Bill Myers also wrote the Forbidden Doors series in the 90s. This one came out in the late 90s, this series. Forbidden Doors came out in the early 90s, and Forbidden Doors is really like the Christian version of Fear Street books. That is 100% what they are supposed to be like, minus like a lot of the murder that happens in Fear Street. There's not really murder, but there is demons and demon possessions and things like that happen in Forbidden Doors. So that is a Christian version of Fear Street, really. And so this is like a version of kind of Scooby-Doo, but trying to get into that Goosebumps craze that was happening in the 90s. And so this series, BloodHounds Inc., is really a little more like a Scooby-Doo vibe, and not the more modern Scooby-Doo where there really are ghosts and ghouls and goblins and things. This is more like that original Scooby-Doo series where, they unveiled the ghost creature and it's a person that's been in the story at some point. And so there's a mysteries here. So what are these books about, and why did I enjoy it so much, even though it kind of was not the best book to read? I actually really did binge this like in one sitting because I couldn't stop reading it. So this book is about these two kids, Shaun and Melissa, and their dad, who is the local radio host of the KRZY radio station. And there has been a ghost who seems to be appearing at the radio station at odd hours, taking things. Things have been disappearing. And so Shaun and Melissa, they want to start a detective agency. And so with their dog Slobs, they start this detective agency and decide to stay the night in the radio station to try and catch the ghost. Now, this book is very interesting because that's your basic setup, and I don't want to say a ton more about the plot because it could be spoilery. I will say, though, you will never in a million years guess like the answers completely to the mystery. I definitely guessed one piece of this mystery early on, and I thought, oh, well, blah, 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 blah is this. But the reasons behind what was happening, you are not gonna guess. There's just no way. It is too out there. Now, one of the things on the back of this book, it says that this is a madcap mystery, and that is 100% accurate. Think about like the goofiest Saturday morning cartoon stuff that is in this book. Like there are pages long, like motorcycle chases that are like running over petunias and the motorcycle goes through the open front door and out the open back door of a house. And there's like, the narrow misses of like, there's a construction zone and they go right over the plank that's being lifted up by the construction. I don't know what construction vehicles are called right now, but being lifted up by the crane. That's what they're called. The boards being lifted by the crane and turns, and the motorcycle goes off onto the top of a building and then goes down this slope that's being built off of the building. Like stuff like that. That is in this book. So on one hand, there was like this kind of fun Saturday morning cartoon nostalgia going on with this book. But on the other hand, there was something else feeding my nostalgia while I was reading this book. And that is a learning company game I used to play back in the 90s called Outnumbered, which takes place in a radio station. And you're like this character walking around, and there's like this person, the master of mischief, who is messing with the radio station, and you're trying to figure out where they are, and you're walking around, there's like live wire snake things, and there's this robot that comes after you, and you're solving math problems to save the day. And I played that thing for hours. I loved that PC game. And so when I started reading this, that nostalgia level was up to here. I like could not stop thinking about that game while I was reading this book, because there's kind of some fun like radio station nostalgia going on here, and like the romanticized version of like what a radio station is like is definitely in this book. So I will not lie, I enjoyed this way more than I should have. Also, I will just say too, there are some pretty clever jokes here and there, and moments that I thought, oh, that was actually really, really funny. And then some other spots where there are jokes that are dated. They do not hold up. It is not really great for today's modern audiences. So I would say definitely go into this book knowing that. There are re-released versions of these books, and I do not know if those things have been corrected. In the Forbidden Doors series, I know that Bill Myers also had put in some interesting references in some of those books that were not updated in the updated versions of them. So take that with what you will. It's definitely an interesting thing. There's not really anything spooky in this book. There's no moments where I was like, oh, that's actually kind of creepy. It really was more like the Scooby-Doo kind of zaniness is more what this vibe is than like a Goosebumps kind of book. But it was sort of fun. Like, I will also say that the moments where there's these kind of like those devices that have like these dominoes fall into this little swinging boot that goes and kicks this marble off the top of a ramp, and it goes down here, and like those things where it's like this chain reaction kind of stuff. There are some really well thought out chain reaction action scenes, kind of like what I was describing a little bit earlier with the like motorcycle chase kind of idea. There's some fun moments like that, and it really does. It reads like how a Saturday morning cartoon played. Like, that's just how it does. There's just a lot of that kind of action and humor in this book, along with the ghost that's going on. But I will also say, there is some very quick moments that are very serious. And not even as much in this book as in book number 2, which I also just binge read. So I don't know, I like these books, I guess, even though they really are not that good. It's like a guilty pleasure, I guess. But there are some really poignant moments because there is a character who is not in these books who is talked about in these books. And I won't say more than that because I think that would be spoilers. But there is some very like sad moments where I thought, oh, wow, this just went very, very serious after being kind of like just wild and zany and humorous, and now we're kind of focusing in on a very, very serious moment. And I thought those moments were actually some of the best moments of the book, because it elevated this to a different level than I think it kind of deserves to be at, if that makes sense. I'm not gonna lie, I came into this book not really knowing what to expect, but then the nostalgia like kind of took it to a different level. And book number 2 also kind of did the same stuff. I will be talking about book number 2 soon, so definitely watch out for that review. But so far, The Ghost of KRZY, I kind of liked it. I do not think this is going to be everyone's cup of tea. If you're looking for a spooky book, this is not that. This is much more a humorous Scooby-Doo style book and like the more like ridiculous Scooby-Doo. That is more what this is like than anything else. So at the end of the day, I would give The Ghost of KRZY, mainly because of nostalgia and how much fun I had reading it, a 4 out of 5 stars. I know some people will read this and be like, this is a 1 star, this is a 2 star at best. But for me, it was a 4. And you know, these are my opinions, so here they are. Take them or leave them. But I really did enjoy this book way more than I think I probably should have. But I really did. So if you're looking for like a Scooby-Doo type book and you're okay with the Christian message being in there, which is really, I didn't talk about it that much, but I will say that I feel like the Christian piece of this book is very light. Like it's there, and like the characters, it's more like they are Christians who are doing this mystery solving than they are trying to share a specific message in the book, which I think makes for stronger Christian fiction, in my opinion, than when Christian writers try to do, like, I'm starting with a message and I'm going to try and get the message across, and I'm going to use this fiction vehicle to get the message across. I think these kinds of books are stronger when they start with just the story and having fun and doing a good plot and good characters, and then if they have the message come organically out of the story, that works a lot better. And I think that's what happens here, I would say, out of this book. So at the end of the day, it's up to you if you want to take a chance on these. They're, like I said, zany is probably the best word. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.